Well, isn't this a pleasant surprise? You know that William Kelly guy, he was arrested yesterday, one of the three so far apprehended perpetrators who assaulted the church in St. Paul, Minnesota on Sunday. Wouldn't you know it that he also, in the span of this week, visited a mosque? That's right, he visited a mosque and he celebrated the religion of peace, folks. It's all adding up. Sam Mirejovsky here behind the What's Right microphone. I try to, here on this program, loop things in and connect the dots for you. And I've said this, many times, that we're in the midst of a revolution. These people, you can call them protesters, whatever, but they are actually domestic terrorists. And if you listen to what they're saying, they want to overturn the government. They literally want to go in and end America as we have it. This is nihilistic accelerationism, right? Life is meaningless, right? The traditional values are pointless. The answer to it, if you listen to them carefully, is communism, is socialism, is the confiscation of private property. It's the subordination of free will and of open expression. It's actually a totalitarian state. And in this sense, it surprises me not one bit that this crazy guy, I've played his clips here all week, that the loudest of the loud domestic terrorist had barged into that church, then quietly and meekly and happily went to a mosque. Because if you listen to these Islamic preachers, be they in the US or Canada or Great Britain or Germany, they're all saying much of the same thing that these crazy liberals are. They too want to see the destruction of the West. They too do not want to subordinate themselves to the cause of coexistence. These people are all in it together, at least for now, as allies in the destruction of our country, of our society, of the West writ large. It's important to understand this. I'll get to the top five here. I just wanted to, this is such an important thing that's going on. So we got to get to this. And this is why it's important to go at this head on. That's at least my view. Now, so much cooking. Let me get to the top five here, because I promise you I'm going to go always here now through the most important things that are happening. And there's been there was a bit of news, and I'll start with number five here. You've probably heard that alcohol consumption is tanking. But there's been some news. 7 large distilleries have filed for bankruptcy. Okay, so they are going out of business, and it's basically, the polling is 54% of adults report now that they consume alcohol. That's down from 62% in 2023, 58% in 2024. So just steadily decreasing by several percent each year, and hard alcohol in particular. So this is a big story, and you will hear endlessly the left talk about Kentucky distilleries getting feeling the financial pinch, and they'll say it's because of the tariffs, the Trump tariffs, and really it's because people are simply drinking less. Number 4, this has the left's panties in a twist like nothing I have seen in a while. Jared Kushner unveiled a master plan for 180 skyscrapers in Gaza. They want to turn it into Dubai. And everybody's freaking out. Because if it looks like Dubai, it's going to walk like Dubai. And if it walks like Dubai, well, they don't tolerate any of that extremism there. Kushner reported, quote, "We have a master plan. There is no plan B." And this is why the left is pushing against us. Anyway, number 3, guess what? The U.S. murder rate has hit its lowest level since 1900. 1900. This, according to Axios. Murders fell 21% last year across 35 of America's largest cities. In Denver, murders dropped 41%. In Washington, D.C., 40%. Along with Omaha, Nebraska, and others recording huge drops. What have we done differently? Perhaps it's that ICE is rolling around these cities, picking up criminal aliens and sending them the hell out of the country. Who would have figured that that would have an effect on crime? And number two, I mentioned this earlier in the week, the epic winter storm that's going to affect, I think, 12 states, at least 200 million Americans are in the path of danger. Airlines have canceled, I think, as of today, hundreds of flights. I expect that to go into the thousands. If you're traveling anywhere in the next few days, even if it's not in the affected area, realize there might be flight delays. As these routes are all interconnected. So your plane that is, taking you to Tucson may have been coming from Omaha. And so this is just going to be a major, major mess. And finally, folks, number one, this was sort of going on yesterday as we were on air, and I was watching it from the corner of my eye. And that is, the star witness of the January 6th committee exposed himself yesterday for being as a complete and utter douchebag. Michael Fanone, who testified at the January 6th committee and really is the officer whose testimony has served as a linchpin for the basis that, for the claims that there was a bunch of Trump supporters that were beating up cops. This guy had an absolute meltdown at the Jack Smith hearing and actually was, slandered a conservative attorney named Ivan Raiklin. The whole thing was, I think yesterday was the beginning of the end of the acceptance of the narrative around J6. I really do. Because this guy was a darling of the media. Fanone, the mainstream media people, they did absolutely love this guy. They loved him. And he did all the media circuits, and they always had, this was always a fiction. They claimed that he had been this Trump supporter. When that, a lot of people have roundly said that's not true. He was also the guy that turned off his camera, his body cam. He also, other witnesses who were not allowed to testify during January 6th said that it was actually Trump supporters that came to his aid when he was getting beaten up by Antifa. And he then testified against the Trump Republicans who were there to help him. It was one of the most egregious cases of false testimony that put people in prison. This guy is such a massive POS, and I'm pleased to report that now more people can see it. And I say slander. This is the interaction that he had. This is him, right? It's inside the committee room where Jack Smith was testifying yesterday. And of course, Fanone is there because he's the face of the official Pelosi-Biden narrative on January 6th. And then Ivan Raiklin is there because he's a lawyer that's been following this stuff from the very beginning. And here's how, there's multiple cameras, a lot of media in the room. This is one camera angle of how this altercation started.
Look behind you.
Do something.
Why should I? I'm communicating with you. I'm trying to calm you down. Right? Look at control yourself.
Let's have a talk, man.
You can't even be a man.
Trust me, I'm using a lot
you
of
see how
restraint
many
right
people are constraining you?
Come get me.
Look at me. Total control over my mind and body. Total control over my mind and body, and I'm totally dominating you right now.
Sir.
Totally dominating you.
Wait, I mean, pause it. Raiklin's saying, I'm totally dominating you right now. And he actually has a point because Fanone's losing his cool. Two of his buddies are holding him back. He's wearing some stupid t-shirt, bulging muscles, roided out. He's got, tattoos going up his neck. He's wearing jeans. I mean, this is a committee hearing. It's, not a picnic. I don't know what he's wearing here. It looks like an absolute trash bag. But anyway, this is how it's going to here. And just the cop, there's a police officer, Capitol Hill officer now standing by.
Threatened my children, threatened to rape my children.
Oh, really?
Whoa!
You sick bastard.
Look at him.
Rape.
Wow.
More people need to contain him because I'm completely calm, sir.
Wow. You cannot, in a public setting like this, claim that somebody threatened to rape your children, which is obviously, I don't have to explain it, a very incendiary thing to say, and not have that be true. Now, I know Raiklin, and I'm telling you, this guy, I doubt has ever made a threat like that ever to anybody. And so this is something this is where the derangement that these libs have, the things that they type out every day about Trump, how he's a child molester and this, they just throw these things out there. And this guy's going to get his ass sued. Fanone is toast. This is bad. Sam Mirejovsky here on the What's Right Media Network. I got to take a quick break. Be right back.
I'm the best.
Personal injury law has been the same for a long time.
The best.
Big egos, greed, and sleazy schemes. We've had enough. Welcome to Sam and Ash, the new standard for personal injury law, where things are done the right way, because you deserve a team that delivers real support and results. When you have both, your whole world can change. Sam and Ash Injury Law, because you deserve what's right.
Sam Mirejovsky here for Sam and Ash Injury Law. Folks, I say it again and again. Don't handle your claim on your own. Don't go at it alone. It's not a good idea, okay? Even if you're talking to your own insurance company, understand that they are figuring out ways that they can save themselves money. And when they save money, it's always at your expense. At Sam and Ash Injury Law, we represent you. We don't charge any money up front. It's super easy, quick phone call, and then you don't have to deal with any of the paperwork. You don't have to deal with the phone calls, the hassle. And you're not going to end up at the end of the whole process staring down $1,000, $2,000, maybe $3,000 out of pocket as a loss to you that you're never going to see again, all for something that wasn't your fault. That's not right. Call Sam and Ash Injury Law today and tell your friends and family members. Tell them I sent you, all right? That's it. You mention my name, you talk to the team, and we got great people here, Ian, Oscar, Michael, and they're standing by ready to chat, all right? 1-800-304-2000. 1-800-304-2000. samandashlaw.com. No recovery, no fee. Offices in Nevada and California, because you deserve what's right. All right, friends. Good to have you here with us. Robbie, you told me during the break here that the officer, the thug officer, the victim, the poor victim of January 6th, the star witness of the Pelosi-Biden witch hunt of Trump and his supporters, the January 6th unselect committee, as Trump calls it, he got into almost a fisticuffs yesterday during the Jack Smith testimony, or the hearing, rather, and Michael Fanone, that's his name. Apparently, the shirt he was wearing, it's a band. That's my understanding. It's from a band, and it's Dropkick Murphys. It's a Boston punk band, And on the back of it, it says fighting Nazis since 1996. Now, somebody needs to explain to Mr. Fanone that the Nazis were a political movement that when they disagreed with people, they wanted to fight them and punch them and hit them and burn down their businesses and used threats of physical violence to silence their adversaries. Now, I just played you a clip where literally the conservative is standing there going, I'm not fighting you. I have total control. I'm completely calm. You're losing your mind. And Fanone has to be held back like some, brown shirt. Well, he's got a cool punk band shirt on inside the Capitol, by the way. No decorum. Anyway, being held back. And, that Raiklin, that's the lawyer that he almost hit. Raiklin is he's a military guy. Sure. He's a lawyer. He's a longtime friend of Michael Flynn. He was a U.S. Army reservist, but I think he was, and I think he was in the Special Forces even. Army Reserve, Green Beret. Okay, he was a Green Beret, and then later he was a lieutenant colonel in the Army Reserve. How do you think that fight would have gone? I'm just saying. The fight, here's what Raiklin approached Fanone, okay? And there's a heated exchange. Fanone called him a traitor. He used expletives and then said that Raiklin had accused Raiklin of, claimed that Raiklin had wanted Fanone's kids to get raped. That is going to trigger a problem. And I saw a friend of mine who is a First Amendment lawyer, Mark Randazza, and he's, some of his takes lately I've disagreed with respectfully, but he's generally one not to support defamation claims. And he's a free speech advocate, and he'd tell you most of the time that it's better to just walk away and not sue. He's looking at this. He's going, I can't find anything where Raiklin has ever said anything of this type. And if Fanone doesn't have proof of this, it's a problem. Now, that's two guys going at each other. After the hearing, Fanone, again, this is the star witness of the J6 committee. This guy is a pivotal figure in the Democrats' canon of anti-Trump propaganda, particularly that centers around J6. At any rate, Fanone is leaving the hearing, and he's already all amped up, and he has a conservative female reporter come up to him. Now, who's this lady? She's a nice lady. I mean, she's being respectful to him. The thing is, to me, is shocking at how rude he is. This is Lindell TV reporter Kara Castronova, and asks about the fight with Ivan Raiklin. Listen to how this goes down.
Officer Fanone, how are you today?
Oh, I'm great.
What happened in there?
What are you talking about?
That confrontation.
Jack Smith testified about how he had proof beyond a reasonable doubt that Donald Trump incited, orchestrated, and funded the insurrection at the Capitol on January 6, 2021.
It seemed like there was a fight in there?
No, there was no fight.
Is it true, Officer Fanone, that you turned off your own body camera on January 6th?
No.
I saw your body cam. You turned it off yourself. You were playing dead. I saw your body cam footage.
You're a
what am I?
Right-wing conspiracy theorist.
I saw you turn off your body cam footage, sir, but thank you for disrespecting me.
Yeah, he's swearing at a woman, at a reporter. What kind of a man is this? Do you know how many obnoxious, I don't have to tell you. Occasionally I encounter people who are not my biggest fans. Oh, and female lawyers, let me tell you. Obviously, I'm not referring to Ash. Female lawyers, they can be a unpleasant bunch, particularly when they work for insurance companies. Never would I swear at them, call her a slur of that. Just absolutely shameful. Sam Mirejovsky here behind the What's Right microphone. Hang tight, folks. I'll be back after the break. Making radio great again. Sam Mirejovsky here behind the What's Right microphone. Friends, good to be here with you. Sam at what'srightshow.com. That's my email. And again, I've been neglectful in giving that out. When I don't give it out, producer Robbie glares at me. So, just send me an email so he doesn't get mad, okay? Hey, producer Robbie, I heard Sam give the email. I'm sending the email and checking in. Always love to hear from you folks. And if it's a quick reply, I get right to it. If it's a little bit longer one, I got to take a little bit of time with it. And sometimes I'll just answer the question here on air. Now, you see the latest from Virginia. Remember, it was a hot minute ago that in Virginia there was a sparkle of a Republican counter-revolution against the swamp. And then a bunch of these weak-kneed country club anti-Trump Republicans decided to be mad at the Trumpster. And in this last election in November, threw all the Republicans out, put a bunch of Democrats in, and now the whole place is going to hell. Have you seen the latest? They have now filed a bill in Virginia, the Democrats, that would allow illegal aliens to sue individual ICE agents in civil court. That's right. So this is what all of you moderates get. You want to pick your fight. This is where we're at. So just pointing that out. Also, by the way, Trump posted overnight on his Truth Social account some renderings of his ark, his triumphant ark. This is a kind of like the Arc de Triomphe in Paris, a giant marble edifice that would be near the Arlington Memorial Bridge in D.C. It looks beautiful. One version of it is pretty heavily gilded. I don't think that's really my taste. I like the white marble version myself personally, but this is going to irritate everybody. And can I remind you again, if you missed the show earlier, I have to say, it was back in October, I was telling you that the East Wing, which is another Trump construction project, that a bunch of Democrats are vowing to tear down. A bunch of Democrats say they're going to tear the thing down as soon as they get back into power. I think it's isn't Gavin Newsom claiming that's one of his landmark promises? Make me president and I'm going to go tear down. Well, what did I tell you last year? I told you that it was likely all part of a giant renovation of the White House bunker. The PIAC, the presidential bunker that has always been under the East Wing since 1941. And that the renovation of the East Wing, actually, its complete tear down and rebuild is part of security enhancements. And so whatever Democrat comes into office and go, we're going to tear this thing down, the military people and the Secret Service, and everybody's going to come to them and say, not so fast. Anyway, that, by the way, got confirmed by CNN this week. So I don't know if we'll get this ark built or not. Add it to the list of things the Democrats are peeved about. Now, yesterday, and we went through some of it, a couple of notes here still on the Jack Smith hearing. I was on briefly because the vice president had a long press conference in Minnesota, so our time was cut short, but I was on Real America's Voice with Steve Gruber, my good friend, and we were talking about this, and my comment to Steve was that I think, and I shared this with you then later on the show, I think that Jack Smith dug himself into a hole. I think that he answered so many questions either evasively or he responded with flat out lies, that it creates a base of setting him up for a criminal prosecution, if not on the substance of his criminal acts, and of which I think he behaved in his capacity as a special prosecutor pursuing Trump in a criminal fashion and broke laws. But even if they don't get him on that, they'll still go after him for false testimony in Congress. So, yesterday I gave you the example of him getting asked about his party registration. And he said, I don't even know if I'm registered to vote. I don't know what my party registration is. I mean, come on. I mean, are you serious? I don't know what my party registration is. Just wait for the people who are his supporters to come out and give some sort of explanation for that. Anyway, I want to share this moment in the testimony. Jim Jordan, who did a great job grilling Jack Smith. Again, this was yesterday, and he was tracing the money because remember, Jack Smith spent over $30 million handing out money to people who then served as informants, witnesses. So everything the Democrats do, they just have to give away money to their friends and family. This was no different. And he got asked about some of the expenditures, and surprise, surprise, really did not have very good answers. I didn't play this yesterday, and I want to share this with you today.
How much of that $35 million of taxpayer money did you give to confidential human sources? We know you gave $20,000 to someone. It just got reported last week. How much more money did you pay confidential people we don't know about, with American tax money going after the guy we elected president?
My recollection regards the $20,000, which was not a payment from me. It was me approving a payment by the FBI to a confidential human source who was reviewing video and photographic.
Who's the source?
Okay, well, first of all, of course it's not you, dumbass. Like, nobody's saying, it was Jack Smith who Venmo'd money to a witness. One of the things you'll see in these, a little lawyer note here, you'll see in these hearings, because time is finite, Jack Smith will answer questions nonsensically in an effort to run out the clock. But even that didn't work. So here's of course Jim Jordan stepping back into it and following up on the money. Where did it go? Where did the money go?
I do not know the identity of the source.
How many other payments went to this source or other sources?
As I sit here, I do not know the answer to that question. My role as special counsel,
$35 million, and you're giving money to people the country doesn't know who they are, and you're giving their hard-earned money to these folks?
You can't sit there, right, and say, I don't know. You can say, I don't know what. You cannot approve expenditures of $35 million and then be unable to recall a single person who you sent that money to. Do you understand what I'm saying here? Let's continue with the tape.
The main question I have, too, with this is, why'd you have to do it? You subpoenaed bank records from the RNC, phone records from members of Congress. You got subpoenas for bank records for people sitting right there on the front row. Why did you have to pay people for information when you could subpoena them and get it?
See, now that's calling time because of course this is what Jack Smith's doing, to run out the clock. But again, this is a great question by Jim Jordan. If Trump committed crimes, if Republicans committed crimes, if everybody was engaged in a bunch of criminal activity, as the Democrats suggest, wouldn't it be simple to just procure all the bank records, procure all the phone records? Certainly they weren't shy in swinging out those, subpoenas. So, why did they have to spend so much money paying people off? Now, I think some of you are right now almost wanting to scream at me through your headset, right? The answer must be, I'm just thinking in my head, is is that people had to make up some stories, right? Needed to be coerced. It doesn't seem like you've got a very strong case when you got to pay a bunch of people to show up and to give you information. And the other explanation, and these are not mutually exclusive. The other explanation is everything the Democrats touch turns into a pay-to-play operation, and it's just an opportunity. They milk this thing like they milk everything. It was another opportunity to just throw money around. And I want that to be your takeaway here. I want that literally to be your takeaway. You have to ask your liberal friends who tell you how brave Jack Smith was and how solid the case was against Trump. Ask, number one, why did they need $35 million to pay out to confidential informants? Because that's a lot of dough. And two, why can't he recall the name of a single one of those CIs? It stinks. It stinks, and when you look at his face and you hear it in his voice, you hear sheer, unadulterated panic. Sam Mirejovsky here on the What's Right Media Network. This hour of the program brought to you by Sam and Ash Injury Law. 800-304-2000. 800-304-2000, because you deserve what's right. Well, Jack Smith actually answers the question in overtime. Jim Jordan's question. Sam Mirejovsky here behind the What's Right microphone. This program brought to you, as always, by Sam and Ash Injury Law. So Jordan is asking, this is from yesterday's testimony. I'm coming back to it because it's so important. He's asking Jack Smith about the $35 million that was paid out to confidential informants in the various Trump prosecutions. And my question is, very soundly, is A, if the case is so bulletproof, why are you paying out so much money? And B, if you've paid out so much money, don't you remember at least one or two people that you paid money to? And here is Smith's answer, and I'll explain in a moment why this is absolute bunk. I'm going to tell you this. As a lawyer, this is just, none of this adds up. None of it adds up.
We get it.
Time has expired.
Time has expired. You can answer the question, though. Country'd like to know why you had to do it.
My recollection and understanding is the payment, the $20,000 that I approved, was for a confidential human source to assist in the review of video and photographic evidence showing people who were attacking the Capitol, attacking police officers, obstructing the proceeding, and seeing if we could prove that some of those people had come directly.
That wasn't my question, but my time has expired.
Yeah, this guy, well, he knows what he's doing. That answer is nonsense. Okay, let me address this as an attorney. I represent people that are hurt. It can be a car accident. It could be a slip and fall somewhere. Sometimes horrible things. It's Las Vegas. A lot of terrible things happen. California too. Okay, terrible stuff happens. I come in and I have to prove it, right? As a plaintiff in a civil case. I know this is a criminal case, but in a civil case, I have to prove it. So I'm in the same line of work, if you will, that Jack Smith is as a prosecutor, because in a criminal case, the prosecutor has to prove his case. In a civil case, I, the plaintiff's attorney, have to, on behalf of my client, prove my case. Now, I'm very careful with client money, right? Because every cost ultimately comes out of the final award. And you have to spend money to make money. And when we go down the rabbit hole of interviewing witnesses and that, things cost, will cost time, which is covered by my fee, but there sometimes are some costs involved. But why would I ever spend money to get somebody to testify when I can just slap a subpoena down, call them into a deposition, and ask them under oath what happened? And that's me as a civil attorney without police powers. Jack Smith was a federal prosecutor. He's paying somebody $20,000 to review a tape and tell him what happened there. No, haul that guy. If you know who it is, haul that guy in and throw him under oath. Haul him in. Put him in. Show him the tape. Who is this person? Next frame. Who's that person? Keep rolling the tape. Who are those two people? You don't need to pay people to do this. Right? I mean, and I'm just telling you, like, these are answers that might work on, the uninformed and the people that don't listen to the show or who don't listen, aren't attorneys themselves. But I mean, this just doesn't add up. When you're a prosecutor, you don't have to go around paying people off. This isn't Hawaii 5-0 where, Danny Williams is rolling around with giving a $5 to a hot tip to a gangster. Like, no. What does he say here? I'm so stuck on this point because I'm trying to show you this matters because this guy's lying. He's lying under oath. My recollection and understanding is the payment, the $20,000 I approved was for a confidential human source to assist in the review of video and photographic evidence showing people who were attacking the Capitol. All of that you can have gotten done for free. So either the guy is lying about the money, either this witness was not particularly forthcoming because they were basically asked to make things up, needed to see some upside, and or three, this was a giant graft operation to start paying off witnesses. And by the way, can I say something huge about this? And I have not seen this said anywhere. How good of a case would it have been against Trump if Kamala Harris had won the election and the case against Trump had been continuing? I'm just saying, picture it right now. Jack Smith's up there. He calls his witness. Sir, you identified these three people in the video. You told us who these people. Yes, I did. Yeah, that's who they are. Defense attorney gets up and says, were you paid any money by the Department of Justice, by the FBI, by anybody affiliated with the prosecution? Well, yeah, I got $20,000. Yeah. Now, do you know how insanely damaging that is to the credibility of that witness? Because you can impeach a witness with that. They're not unbiased anymore. They're not there because they saw what they saw. They're there because they got some money in their pocket. This whole thing was such a clown show, and people were claiming that this Jack Smith guy was like the penultimate, prosecutor, right? The most brilliant lawyer. He was a judge at The Hague, the International Criminal Court. Was he a judge there or a prosecutor there? I forget, Robbie. Yeah, you'll correct me during the break, but I'm just telling you, this whole thing is a sham. Now, Brandon Gill got, this was another great
Mr.
moment.
Smith, at the time you secured those non-disclosure orders, was Speaker McCarthy a flight risk?
The non-disclosure order was based on concerns about...
Was Speaker McCarthy a flight risk?
He was not.
He was not. Then why did your non-disclosure order refer to him as a flight risk? It says right here, the court finds reasonable grounds to believe that such disclosure will result in flight from prosecution.
Sir, when securing a non-disclosure order, the risks don't have to be associated.
You think that the Speaker of the House is a flight risk?
The question?
No, this is not your time. This is my time. You think the Speaker of the House is a flight risk? You think he's going to hop on a plane and leave the country?
No, what I was trying to explain is with respect to a non-disclosure order, the risks aren't necessarily associated with the subscriber to the phone. They're the risks to the investigation.
I think that you were using, this was clearly in reference to Speaker McCarthy, and you were using clearly false information to secure a non-disclosure order to hide from Speaker McCarthy and from the American people the fact that you were spying on his toll records.
This is so incredibly damaging. By the way, that lady in red in the back, is that his wife? She is, if you look at her carefully, if you look at that lady carefully, her facial expression shows so much worry. And I know where it's coming from. This guy is digging himself a hole that he's going to get prosecuted, and they're going to lose their home, their savings, everything they have, because they just couldn't help themselves and be part of the Get Trump sham. Couldn't happen to two better people, in my honest opinion. Sam Mirejovsky here on the What's Right Media Network. Back in a moment. Rarely wrong, always right. Sam Mirejovsky here on the What's Right Media Network. Good to be with you. Sam@what'srightshow.com is my email. And this hour brought to you by Sam & Ash Injury Law, as per usual. Now, I don't know if you saw this, of course, some trouble charging Don Lemon with for his role in the church attack, and this was reported by Fox News. It's a fascinating thing. Bill Melugin reported this. Multiple sources were telling him that the federal magistrate in Minnesota who refused to sign off on an arrest warrant for Don Lemon is Douglas Micko. And Micko's wife works as an assistant attorney general in Minnesota. Now, what does this mean? Well, the attorney general in Minnesota is a very powerful, well-connected Democrat, Keith Ellison. Ellison is under investigation currently by the Trump DOJ for his role in the Minnesota fraud. Okay, this guy's knee-deep in it. I played the tape earlier of him having a meeting with several individuals, a couple of whom later were convicted, or their companies were convicted of fraud. So Ellison's in this, but Ellison also is a huge buddy of Don Lemon. Now, here's a conversation. Well, this is, let it speak for itself here. Keith Ellison here. All right, I'll play the tape.
When Martin Luther King was doing his thing, there was ABC, NBC, CBS, and local affiliates.
Right.
Now we have a wide diversity of independent media being able to tell the truth in all kind of places and spaces, and we need you. So I'm hoping that you are successful, and I hope people donate to your channel and just do your thing, brother.
That is Keith Ellison, the Attorney General of the state of Minnesota, talking to Don Lemon, with Don Lemon's stupid DN microphone there on the scene after the incursion on that church. The top law enforcement officer in the state of Minnesota, okay, buddying up to one of the people that were involved in the assault. And I don't buy this whole thing that Keith, that Don Lemon was just a journalist, was there in an observational capacity. He was there. He was embedded with this unit of domestic terrorists. And he was asked to leave by the pastor. He stuck around. He's there championing their cause. He has advanced knowledge of a crime, and then decides to participate. You can't, what did you can't, I know what his defense is going to be. I was just there covering it. But then you're going to have to explain the video of him going, well, what are you, putting the mic in front of the scared parishioners that were there, going, well, what do you think? Don't you think you share some responsibility for this? Well, I saw all the exchanges. I saw all the reporting. People were like, well, I don't know. I don't want to talk to you. Well, but well, Well, I don't want to talk to you guys. I don't know what you guys. Well, no, I'm just here as a journalist. But what do you? Don't you think that they have a point? Don't you think? The intention of Don Lemon was to not report, but to berate people he views as his political adversaries. But in the process was denying them their constitutional rights. And it's the deprivation of rights claim under the FACE Act that's going to give that's going to hang him, right? I mean, it's not going to get executed, but he's potentially is going to face charges. So this magistrate, anyway, buddy with Keith Ellison, the hugely political attorney general, top law enforcement officer there in Minnesota, and former congressman, right? He's a high up in the Democratic Party. I think he almost was DNC chair at one point. Oh, by the way, it's good news. Keith Ellison gave Don Lemon on Monday on his podcast, he gave him advice that he would be vindicated. That's right. He got a clean bill of health, Don Lemon did, from the Attorney General of Minnesota.
I believe you will be vindicated. I will believe you will get justice. But between the moment that they try to arrest you or investigate you and when you're finally set free, I think you ought to take them seriously. I do.
Yeah. Well, they're all going to get arrested, including Keith Ellison. Tim Walz may end up getting arrested. I'm telling you, they're all under investigation. The entire rat's nest. It's something to behold. There were like you said, well, Sam, these are federal, they're getting charged under federal law. There were basic state laws that every single person who burst into that church should have been prosecuted under. Try trespass, that's a Minnesota statute. There's a specific law in Minnesota that bars the interference with religious observation. Here's what it is. Specifically prohibits willfully disturbing or interrupting a religious assembly, and it's a misdemeanor. I mean, that just fits like a glove, doesn't it? And then we have disorderly conduct, brawling, fighting, disturbing an assembly with offensive, boisterous conduct. Again, fits like a glove. Police responded to multiple calls, didn't do anything, didn't arrest anybody. Because these domestic terrorists are working with the approval and possibly the direction, under the direction of state elected officials. If you're a citizen of Minnesota and you pay taxes, you're getting an unequal protection under the law. If you're a Democrat, you get protected. If you're a Republican, if you're a Christian, if you're unaffiliated with the madness, you just want to live your life, forget it. Screw you, you're out of luck. This is frightening, right? No, I mean, these are all laws. Any charges? Nope. You literally have the Attorney General giving legal advice to Don Lemon, who participated in this. Hey, take it seriously. Get a lawyer. Don't. Between now and then, you're going to be vindicated. You'll be fine, but might take a little while. So, just absolute clown show. All of this. Now, remember, I mentioned him before. The Kelly guy, the guy that burst in on the scene, and went after all the got camera in the faces of the kids, yelling about white privilege. Remember that guy? We have that. I have that one video. We have it, right, of him after the church, after they burst in the church with his rant. Yeah, here is this guy. Now remember, he was arrested yesterday. This is the communist agitator, Antifa adjacent guy. This is him after bursting into the church. This is what he sounded like.
All the people in this church, they're living real comfortable lives while children are dragged into concentration camps. So if we disturb their Sunday, oh no, nobody should have comfort right now while our immigrant communities are afraid to leave their houses.
Yeah, they're afraid to leave their house. Immigrant community. Illegal immigrants getting rounded up. Gosh forbid. Okay. Now, I mentioned this in my open. Here's him after visiting a mosque. And this mosque visit, by the way, the video I just played was this week. And he, following this, went to a mosque. Listen to how he talks in the mosque.
It was an honor to be invited to this mosque, but it was surreal to be there, and it made me feel good about my actions in that white supremacist church earlier. How can these people be not afraid to go out of their homes, afraid to go practice their prayer, while these rich white people can live like nothing's happening and ignore it completely? It's unjust. It's un-American. What is freedom if it only applies to white people?
This is the unholy alliance of the radical left and Islam. It's coming for everything you hold dear. And I've been talking about this for, Robbie, 15 years. I've been talking about this way before it was cool. In fact, I talked about this at a time when George Bush was telling all of us to avoid Islamophobia. Even Republicans were looking at me askance. And now, lo and behold, after the Great Reset, all the people that showed up at Davos to solve the world's problems when they themselves created them in the first place, we're all looking at an awful reality. Now, I have to take a break. But this is one of those through lines that we need to watch. We need to watch the through line of what happens. And I call the left and Islamists, I call them strange bedfellows, right? Because of course, with the left, you've got the transsexuals, right? You got the people with the 35 nose rings and the blue hair, and they don't know what a woman is. The Islamic people know what a woman is. They know where she belongs and how she's going to be treated. But like for right now, they're allies. It'll get very interesting when, if the revolution succeeds somewhere, like let's say in the United Kingdom. Well, I've got a clip about that. Stay tuned. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. More of the What's Right show after this.
The Sam and Ash team, they wanted me to have the best care. They had my interests at heart. I have an enormous amount of gratitude. I cannot say enough thank you.
Hi, Sam Mirejovsky here, your host of the What's Right show. Yes, I'm here. Don't worry, Sam at what'srightshow.com. So, what happens when you talk to a liberal about Donald Trump? No, I'm a serious question. Okay, you take a liberal and you say to him, you know what, Donald Trump's actually doing a lot of good things. Enforcing federal law, for example, deporting pedophiles. That's a good thing, right? I mean, are we really going to disagree that deporting people who do bad things to children is bad? And maybe your friend at work will have a conversation with you about it. But these people that are attacking ICE officers, and these people that are attacking churches, and these people that are, the Antifa rabid, militant wing of the Democratic Party, they will punch you in the face if you try even to have a conversation about your truth versus their truth. Now, I do believe in absolute truth. I'm just now setting up a little bit of a point I'm going to make. So bear with me. They will punch you in the mouth. They will shoot and kill you like they did Charlie Kirk rather than debate you. It's their way or the highway. And this is why communists, these people are communists, are completely and totally incompatible with Western civilization, because our entire liberal democracy, small l, is based on what? The free exchange of ideas, debate, great minds versus other great minds. Right? This is the noble ideal that the West was built on. And it's funny because the people that yell fascist and the people that talk about democracy are the people most likely to not want in practice either. And this is what they have in common with Islam. This is why the new liberals, the Democratic Party, the new left, the Zohar Mamdanis, who are basically our communists, if they're describing themselves as socialist Democrats, we know exactly where they stand. Listen to this example. This is from December. It's not from 10 years ago. It's not from the UK. It's from Chicago. It's from literally the city I was born in. This is an Islamic scholar here in the U.S. on U.S. soil, and he says the following.
Unfortunately, these days we don't repeat this enough, or we don't have this aqidah concept firm in our minds that Islam did not come to coexist. Islam لا يعلى. Islam يعلو ولا يعلى عليه. And Islam is raised high and nothing is raised above Islam. We can't think of Islam that it came to live with these other religions, in the sense that Islam is a religion amongst those religions, and they have a share with the truth. And they have a share of justice. And they have a share of, this worship of Allah, the correct worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Islam came to correct all of that. Islam came to remove the oppression of all those religions. And it is the only truth, and it is the only way to justice.
Look at that. We don't repeat this enough. Islam did not come to coexist. All you liberals that think it's about peace and kumbaya and coexistence and tolerance, your minds are so open that your brains fell out. Know that expression? Liberalism, this new democratic socialism, extreme leftism, it's not here to coexist. That guy that stormed the church, this Kelly guy, William Scott Kelly, he didn't come there to listen to their point of view. He came there to intimidate. He came there to shout them down. He came there to shut them down. This is what the new left is all about. Now, I know these motherfuckers like the back of my hand. These are the people that took down Eastern Europe. These are the people that destroyed my parents' country. And you all, and I say this at you, right? I'm all due respect. You all, conservatives included, need to wake up and realize that these are playing for keeps. They are here to take it all. And I know, I'm tempted too occasionally to go, ha, 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 isn't it funny? Because, the leftists, these actually, they're weak men, they're weak women, they're just a bunch of losers. Wait for it when they succeed in overturning the West, and they're ready to ascend the steps of glory and socialist utopia together with the Muslims. And then what's going to happen? The Muslims are going to execute all the trannies on the first day, then they're going to go for the gays on day 2, and day 3 they're going to get everybody else. And it's easy to go, well, that'll serve them right, but we're all going to be dead, folks. Like, that's just, sorry, that's where it's headed. This is so important. And it rises above Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Trump, Vance, Pence, this guy, that party. This is existential. And there's a long game afoot. Now, the liberals, by the way, I consider the left here in this context to be the useful idiots, right? They're getting taken by the Islamists. And the Islamists, they know exactly what they're doing. They're playing the long game. This is a conquering political system far more than it is a religion. It is a conquering political system. And we are, it's happening in Europe. It's happening in France. It's happening in Germany. It's already happened, I think, mostly in the UK. And I don't even know if the leftists there will be able to do anything about it before it's too late. But we can. And why? Because we are the United States of America. And we're unique here. And we don't take crap. Because we have people like Todd Beamer on 9/11 who said, let's roll. That's who we are. We fight back. We don't take things sitting down. We haven't been brought to our knees like Western European socialist states. Oh, Sam Mirejovsky here, back in just a moment. Welcome to the What's Right Show, your place for common sense conservatism, Monday through Friday, here on the What's Right Media Network. Sam Mirejovsky here, fired up as usual. And look, it's Friday. Remember, Robbie, back in the day, once upon a time when we actually did calm and relaxing Friday shows? Not anymore. Not with the world on fire. Sam at what'srightshow.com is my email. Folks, get into an accident, get injured, get hurt, get a lawyer. That's it. If you believe that I know what I'm talking about, then trust me, this is what you need to do. And not just because I'm a personal injury lawyer, but but I do. I see this every day here at my firm, Sam and Ash Injury Law. I see people come in and tell us about the months that they went around and around and around at the insurance company only to get stuck with thousands of dollars of bills, of costs that they were not able to recover, upside down in situations where they were absolutely not at fault. Don't do that. Don't be that person. Don't do it yourself. Free yourself, if nothing else, from the time, the hassle that it takes to do all that paperwork, answer the calls, text messages, bothering you on nights and even weekends. Turn that over to your law firm, Sam and Ash Injury Law. Get started on your journey to better today. Sam and Ash Injury Law. Call. One easy phone call. Get started. 800-304-2000. 800-304-2000. Sam and Ash Injury Law, because you deserve what's right. Okay, folks, there was a great moment where a tennis star, Amanda Anisimova, was at the Australia Open in Melbourne, okay? And she won the match, and a New York Times reporter immediately started with this line of questioning about, hey, are you proud of your country with everything going on? And listen to how this exchange went and how she handles it.
Hey, Amanda. Congratulations on the win. I've been asking a lot of the American players just how it feels to play under the American flag right now, and I'm curious how you feel.
Yeah, I was born in America, so I'm always proud to represent my country. And yeah, a lot of us are doing really well, and it's great to see a lot of, great athletes on the women's side, on the men's side. So yeah, I feel like we're all doing a great job representing ourselves.
Sorry, do you mind if I follow up?
Sure.
Sorry, just to clarify a little, sort of in the context of the last year of everything that's been happening in the U.S., does that complicate that feeling at all?
I don't think that's relevant.
Yeah. Trump. How can you be proud of your country? Now, this is what the left does. And I call them communists because it's exactly what communists do. Every situation requires a political narrative to be injected and requires you, the citizen, to acknowledge their propaganda as fact. And it requires that those communist catechisms be repeated over and over and over again. Otherwise, you don't have legitimacy. So this douchebag from the New York Times comes to this young lady who's just won a game of sport with the American flag on her, okay? By the way, judging from her name, her parents are, I think, probably immigrants to the U.S. So she may be something like me, first generation born in the U.S. And what does she do? She just says, "Look, I'm just playing the game. I'm proud of my country. What can I tell you?" They are not like us. They are not like us. When Biden was president, we were damn proud of our country. We love America. When Obama was president, and he literally didn't really love America very much, hated the concept of America, raised, by the way, if you trace from the Obama era, the increase in racial discord and overall conflict among Americans. I mean, it's all his doing. Okay? That era was extremely shameful. But I loved my country, and you loved your country every single day during that disaster. It would never cross my mind. Are you not proud of? Gosh, you really must. In 2016, boy, or 2015, 2014, going, boy, you proud of your country and all? I don't know. This is Obama guy. It's bad. But they think differently. And they demand purity. And what you're noticing is that a lot of people who previously weren't political, who previously would have said, I'm a little, I don't get it. I don't want to, maybe, you're right, would play along, are just saying, I'm not playing the game. And she pushes back. Same with Sydney Sweeney being asked by that insipid hevelump of a woman, the interviewer who, the genes that, Trump retweeted it, how does that make you feel? And Sydney Sweeney could not give fewer whats. Just one of these blanks and I'm just doing a gene ad. Good genes. Yeah. It's good. I mean, isn't that, there are good genes. This is the only way. This is how you have to handle it. And the reason they're doing it is because they're losing. And I'll give you an example. Let me give you an example. You see the news, and stack of stuff here. I got so much stuff in front of me. It's everywhere. Okay. Here I've got it. Newsweek. Donald Trump's approval has surged double digits with Hispanic voters. How's this for a terrifying development for the left? President Trump's approval rating among Hispanics surged to a net of plus 28 points and plus 24 points across two new polls. And this is important because we're going to talk a lot about the midterms. We're going to talk a lot about what's happening in, leading up to November and what kind of chances there are for Republicans to win. They are desperate, the left is, to stop Donald Trump fulfilling his campaign promises because they know, number one, if Trump actually does what he promised, they're going to be out of work. Number two, that is the key to depressing MAGA turnout. How excited would you be to go vote for Republicans, even though we really don't love the Republicans in the House and Senate right now? I get it. But how less enthused would you be if Trump got into office and then chickened out on his landmark election promises? He is fulfilling campaign promises, and they want to stymie it because they would love nothing more than for us to say, well, this has no point. Trump cannot, I had this thought the other day. Trump really can't rely on congressional Republicans to win this election. I hate to say this, Trump is going to have to win this thing on his own. He's going to have to nationalize it. He's going to have to say, I don't care if you like your local congressman or not. This is a vote for me. If you do not elect your local Republican congressman, then the next 2 years are going to be lost. They're going to be lost to, and he'll go through the, what do we call it in law? We call it the parade of horribles. You know, you go through the case in the parade of horribles, right? All the terrible things that could possibly happen. Oh my gosh. But they're real. And by the way, the Democrats in Virginia are showing us exactly what it would all look like on the federal level, right? I'm just saying, it would all, it just, oh, we can go sue ICE agents. I'm a PI lawyer. This is what I do. I represent injured victims. I would never take that case. I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. But, you know, my scuzzy competitors in Virginia and probably elsewhere are already getting excited about how it's gonna open up the floodgates of tort litigation that they're going to make millions off of. Absolutely disgusting. By the way, this is why you don't hire, most of these PI lawyers out there are complete Democrat degenerates. Or they're, you know, some of them are registered Republicans and then they trash Trump. They're just absolute weenies. Don't hire a weenie. If you're going to hire a PI lawyer, just, you know, Sam and Ash, okay? Enough said. All right. Powering through this, Robbie. Now, these are encouraging poll numbers, and it's because Trump did what he said he was going to do. I know why Hispanics love Trump, because it's cracking down on immigration, because all Hispanics are not criminal illegal aliens. I know in the warped Democrat brain they think that way, but that's not the reality. And lower income Hispanics that are in the country legally are at the front lines of victimization by criminal illegal aliens who came here in the flood under Joe Biden. If Trump can clean up their neighborhoods, if Trump has lowered the murder rate by 22%, those are Republican voters for life. Sam Mirejovsky here on the What's Right Media Network. Back in a moment. Hi, welcome back. Sam Mirejovsky here on the What's Right Media Network. Scott Bessent speaking in Davos, Switzerland, in that insufferable WEF, World Economic Forum conference, said some good things about the economy. Now, I understand he has to be a cheerleader for the economy. But here, speaking to Politico's Dasha Burns, Scott Bessent is showing some optimism. This is important because this is another key to the 2026 midterm elections. Have a listen.
And as you can see, not given to hyperbole, but I think we are going to see a fantastic economic year in 2026. I said we set the table, now we're going to have the banquet, and one of the things that we're going to see, as I said, we've done trade deals, tax deals, the one big beautiful bill that passed on July 4th. I'm also the IRS commissioner, so I can see that working Americans have very substantial refunds coming, 150 billion that we're going to see in the first quarter. So the IRS did not give new guidance on the tax bill. So the president's signature policies for working Americans, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, deductibility of auto loans for American cars, which I will point out, every Democrat voted against. Every Democrat voted against. But Americans did not change their withholding, so they're going to get substantial tax refunds, maybe $1,000 per worker in a household. Americans, we have now given guidance in changing your withholdings, so Americans will also see a real wage increase.
This is all real stuff. And again, this is why the Democrats are panicking. I still remember when the first tax decrease, tax cut happened under Trump in his first term, and I came into my office when it was back in. I was just in a firm I had co-founded in California, and at the time, a large office, about 100 people or so, and walked into the office, and on a Friday morning, as people were opening up, their bank accounts, realizing they all had more money, and I had a bunch of people who didn't like Trump at all were like, "Yay, Trump! This is great." I mean, it's real. And will people vote against their economic self-interest? Rarely. The important thing here is to cut off the relatively small number of individuals that are fleecing the government and that are living off of it. And I'm talking at the high level, dialed in, juiced in political people, primarily Democrats who've, found ways to manipulate the system. At mid-level, there's the people with the Leering centers, right, that are, set up entities, they're private individuals, but they are politically active. And at the low end, they're able-bodied Americans who ought to be working and getting off their rumps, right, and being in the workforce that are taking advantage and are getting thousands of dollars of federal and state support, welfare, right? And they should never be on the dole. They should be out there working hard like the rest of us. But still, all in all, for now, okay, there are less of those people than there are of us that work. And those of us that work need to get together and acknowledge that, we want more of our wages in our pocket. We want to keep more of what we earn. And we want more freedom. And we want less government intervention. And we want America to be strong. And we want our military to be respected. And we want to get involved abroad only in measured and careful ways. This is a whole thing that Trump can, we want a secure border. We can go on and on about this, but these are all really critical things that these are Trump, signature accomplishments. And so I want to be cautiously optimistic about the midterms. I'm still concerned, right? But the Democratic approval, it's not that great. Harry Hinton got into this today. Democrats in Congress, abysmal poll numbers.
Take a look at how Democrats who disapprove of congressional Democratic leaders, hello, we're talking about 57% in January of 2026, the second highest disapproval rate for Democratic leaders from their own party on record. It's only beat by what we saw earlier on in this Congress when it was 61%. There's basically been no improvement. Democrats hate their own congressional leaders. These numbers are awful, awful, awful.
And you think they're excited about Gavin Newsom? You think they're excited about Kamala Harris? You think they're excited? I don't know who else is there even. I mean, it's hard. I mean, imagine you're not a political follower and you're like, okay, what are the names I know on the Democrat side? Tim Walz? Remember Napoleon Dynamite, Robbie? Remember at the very end, what was his name? Cousin Kip, was that his name? The skinny guy. Napoleon Dynamite's, was it cousin or brother? Skinny white guy, and then he gets into a relationship at the very end of the movie with an African American gal. And he starts wearing a do-rag and wearing jewelry and acting all gangster and like trying to be cool, but he's a complete like white kid, total nerd from Idaho, right? Kip and LaFonda. Those two. I saw something on the internet this morning. I almost died. Some guy posted that video and goes, I'm going to tell my kids this was the Harris Walz campaign. It's not Tim Walz either, is my point. And so what are the Democrats? Who are the Democrats rallying behind? Mamdani. That's why I keep talking about him as the mayor of New York when I'm based in Las Vegas. He's a charming, he's an intelligent, yes, personable, disciplined, on-message Democrat who is all on board with every crazy, insane fantasy that the Democrats would ever want to push forward. I'm just telling you, he's the guy. AOC, we played the clip yesterday, Robbie. She's an idiot. I mean, I don't know what's her national polling. Well, Gavin Newsom's at the top of the national polling, by the way, for 2028. So this stuff has gotten measured. I'm just saying, who are people excited about? AOC sort of it's baked into the cake already. She's overexposed. People know who she is. She's kind of a little bit of a stunt artist, and she's only really gotten elected in a small district. I mean, this guy won in a major city, right? A lot more people voted for Mondani than have ever voted for AOC combined. It's very important to point this out, right? AOC's district is just a small part of New York. Okay, I'm just telling you. And by the way, Bessent got asked again about Gavin Newsom and just laid it on again in that same Politico interview.
To say strange things like President Trump is a Tyrannosaurus Rex. What the hell does that mean? You know, I could say Gavin Newsom is a brontosaurus with a brain the size of a walnut. And you know, if you brought the knee pads, maybe that was for his meeting with Alex Soros. I don't know.
What a savage gay man. I love this guy. Don't worry, Sherry. I'm not leaving you. I'm just saying this is Scott Bessent is just the GOAT. The GOAT. I love it. Greatest of all times. All right. Gotta run, folks. Sam Mirejovsky here. Have a great weekend. Be safe out there, and I'll see you on Monday.